Bear with Possum Sausage Forge. So I just got a box in the mail. Should have a rifle barrel and a lock kit, along with a couple other odds and ends for my next rifle build. This is the piece of maple that I got. Kind of sketched out the design I'm thinking, but that may change. Beautiful, beautiful curly maple all the way up. Can't really see it too well. You can kind of get a little bit of it here and there. It does have wormholes right here and right there. So hopefully they don't go too deep, but because of those wormholes, I gave $55 for it. So even if they have wormholes, that's a win for me. I had a live a while ago forging out or filing on this trigger guard. All the parts for this rifle I want to be either wrought iron that I forge, or I bought some German silver steel. So there'll be some German silver inlays, probably the ramrod, you know, uh, tubes or whatever. That'll probably be German silver, but I want for everything to either be that silver or forged out of wrought. And this is the butt plate. I've got an octagon started up here. I have all my inside edges filed flat. So when it actually comes to inletting this into the stock, that's what's going to, actually be fit to the stock, and then I can finish filing the outside profile to the stock. There'll be a screw up here. There'll be another screw down here. I plan on making all the screws. I'll probably make the screws out of mild steel just for security. But those will also be handmade, hand forged. So let's open this box and see what we got. Packaging material. So the first item, this is probably the lock kit, would be my guess, and it is. Oh, I also have saw blades for a jeweler's saw. I bought one of those for cutting out the German silver. This is a large flintlock kit. So all of the parts are as cast. I've got to cut sprues off. I've got to smooth everything up, fit all the parts together, and then I'll have to heat treat the tumbler and the sear, the frizzen. Big old lock plate. Pan. And the neat thing about these the Siler kits, I've only ever dealt with a Siler kit, but how the pan and the lock plate, how they fit together and they end up screwing together, and that creates your bolster on the inside that'll register up against your barrel. Really a pretty genius way to make a what would be a more intricate casting. Springs are already heat treated. You don't have to do anything with those. I'll probably polish it up. May do a bit of weight reducing on it. They do come pretty stiff. Then got instructions in the bag. There's the frizzen. So you got to take that sprue off. Have to drill the pivot pin hole. And I don't remember. Yeah, these come with all the screws. Got the tumbler. Already has the sear notches cut into it. Kind of see them. And then it also has what's called a fly. The fly is for a set trigger. It's in the bag right here. It says fly on it. It's backwards for you guys, but it says fly. The fly is with a set trigger. When you set the hair trigger and then pull the, I guess you would set the set trigger, then when you pull the now hair trigger, that set trigger is just spring loaded. It's going to snap up and hit the sear. What can happen with a traditional tumbler and sear, if it just bounces up and smacks that sear real quick, the sear can actually drop into the half cock notch. And so you go to fire the rifle and you got this beautiful hair trigger, and the what's called the cock, what holds the flint, it'll snap forward into the half cock position and the gun won't go off. The fly acts almost like a ratchet. It'll go past. Trying to think how to explain this. When you cock the hammer, the fly kind of goes past and covers that half cock notch. So when you bump the set trigger or the hair trigger, and the set trigger goes up and smacks the sear will ride over the fly and bypass the half cock notch. So there's the lock kit, all the parts off to finish and build the lock out of. Got the blades for the jeweler's saw. More packaging. So you got the jeweler's saw here. Looks pretty nicely made. Can adjust that out for the tension. And then these two screws here will just pinch the blade. So you can pinch the blade, then pull it tight and lock it all in. Now the blades that I got, they are very, very fine. I do not see any writing on the package to designate what they are. There's a dozen of them, made in Germany. So there's a dozen blades all bundled up right here. I think they are like 30 thousandths tall, because it recommends a 330 or a 30-second drill bit for the pilot hole that you can drop this blade through and then start sawing away. And then it's a very fine pitch. It's like 50 teeth per inch or something, about 20 thousandths per tooth. So I bought the 12 pack because I'm sure I'm going to break a lot of them. And I got 2 sheets of this 40 thousandths .040 German steel or German silver. Like I said, that's what my inlays will be. If I decide to do a patch box, that's what the patch box will be made out of. I'd really like to do more of a like a poor man's rifle where no patch box, no nose cap on the front of the stock, just a all silver and iron mounted poor man's rifle. Hi, Drew. They do not skimp on the packaging here. All right. Now the big ticket item. Got all this packaging on the floor. The big ticket item. I don't know exactly how to get this out here. Now, I have noticed this before ordering from Track of the Wolf. I give them props on their packaging. This barrel is inside of a cardboard tube, has at least a 1/4 inch wall, and it was taped to that board. And it looks like they made their own wooden plugs for the end that appear to be stapled in. So I may have to cut that out. And now this should be which it is marked on here, and it's what I ordered. It's a Rice brand. Yep, that's stapled on. It's a Rice match grade 50 caliber swamped. So it's thickest at the breech. It slowly tapers to just before the muzzle, and it flares back out. Yeah, Thomas, I didn't know either until my gun parts arrived. So I'm going to see if I can... Stepped on one of those packaging things. See if I can just cut through this tube right below the staples. If I bust through and take that hacksaw to this barrel, I'm going to cry. But I'm still hitting the plug. There we go. So I just sawed through here. Okay, Thomas, I'll probably watch you. I'm not going to be live for very long. For those interested in watching the build, I thought you might want to see me unpackage all the parts. Got that open. See if it comes out. Whew, just about lost it. Oh, nice. Nice. So it comes with the breech plug already installed. Starts out nice and heavy. Tapers down. It feels like right about here's the low spot. Flares back out for the muzzle. This is a beautiful lightweight barrel. Now, I thought the one that I got had round bottom rifling, but this is definitely square bottom. It's got a nice crown on it. I don't know if you'll won't be able to see anything. Very sharp. All these edges are very sharp. Still has all the mill marks in it. And then it's engraved on the bottom, like machine engraved, not hand engraved. But it says Golden 166R, 1-66R. So it's probably a golden age era for the flintlock rifles. 166R, 1 in 66 right hand twist. B Premium R50. That is a beautiful, beautiful barrel. It's very shiny, Thomas. And for this gun, with all the flintlock parts, I would like to hand sand and polish them, maybe up to like 600 grit or so, and then just leave it. Keep oil on it, and just let it naturally patina. So, unfortunately, all this shiny will eventually go away, but just for a nice, honest to God patina. I'm gonna move you guys, get a pair of calipers out here. Hi, Roy. About 1 inch 5/1000ths. It tapers on down, probably about 10 inches before the muzzle, 3/4 inch. And then right at the muzzle, about 13/16. And that cut about 2 pounds of steel out of this barrel, so it'll balance real nice. And it's 42 inches overall. And then the last item that I bought, which is going to help me more than anything, are these drawings. I'm going after a Bucks County style Pennsylvania long rifle. And the cool thing about these drawings is that it's a 1-to-1 scale based off of original Bucks County rifles. So it shows everything from your engraving patterns, inlays. Bucks County rifles, they're mostly incise engraved, which is where you're almost like a chip carving in a way, where you only carve out the vines and leaves. You don't actually give it depth. It's not a relief carving. But we'll see how close I got with this eyeball forging. That's not too bad. That actually lines up not too bad. Butt plate, the butt plate that I forged, I may have to kick that in a little bit because we are out quite a bit there. But very cool. It also gives the cross view of what the rifle stock looks like. So that'll give me some good pointers to go by. We've got a top view and bottom view of the rifle, along with your side view. Loads of information. So yeah, that's the all the parts that I bought for this rifle. I bought the lock kit, that couple plates of German silver, and the barrel, and then everything else is going to be forged from wrought iron, mild steel for the screws, and then hopefully majority of it be 90%, hand tools shaping the stock. Drew, it's called Track of the Wolf. This box alone, what I have, just unboxed in the last 20 minutes, you'll have some sticker shock. Now, the barrel, I went with a very expensive barrel because I want to use this rifle for competition shooting for a flintlock muzzleloading club that I'm in. But I also want to hunt with it, so I bought a match grade barrel. But everything I just unboxed in the last 20 minutes, you're looking at close to $700 shipped. And that's not including wood for the stock or any of that jazz. That's just the lock, the barrel, 2 pieces of German silver, and a saw. Thomas, I'll probably put a little bit of my own twist on it, because that's the big thing with, you have what's called schools. There's different schools of muzzleloaders, and the schools were basically the builders of the rifle. So like what town, what area it came from. So going for this Bucks County, Pennsylvania long rifle, it would be from the Bucks County school. They had their own unique style as far as the patch box. So like, this rifle, this little 36 that I built, the patch box, it's going this way. You have your release down here on the bottom of the stock. You press that button, and the patch box flips open. Bucks County's actually, you press the button down here, and they fold down. It just depended on the maker. Now, I'm already swaying from the Bucks County because Bucks County was a later 1700 to the early 1800s. Usually did not have a swamped barrel. They're usually a straight octagon the entire way. So I'm already varying from that because I didn't want a 10 or 12 pound gun. I want a 7 or 8 pound gun because I want to hunt with it. So I'm already kind of varying from that. The Siler lock mimics a late 18th century, early 19th century lock style, so I'm pretty good with that lock. But as far as all the little particulars, that may vary based on what I want to do. Now, the thing, like I said, the schools that you had, this Bucks County style, it'll have the image of that Bucks County. Another big thing that Bucks County had was the rear stock. This is fairly straight. Bucks County was more of a gentle curve, and usually the top of the comb was also curved. So I'll mimic that to make it look like it came from that school. But at the end of the day, the gunsmiths, when they were building a rifle, if they were building a rifle custom order, say you work for the Bucks County school or Bucks County, district, whatever, you're going to build it with your kind of signature points. You have that nice graceful curve to the stock, and you have the incise engraving, not the, you know, high relief engraving, stuff like that. But everything comes down to what does the customer want. So a lot can change and it still be a traditional Bucks County rifle. The swamp barrel, Thomas, that's where I got my calipers out and was measuring, and the barrel's about 1 inch thick back here at the breech. And then it tapers down to about 3/4 inch, about 10 inches from the muzzle, and then it flares back out to about 13/16. So the barrel this way actually has an hourglass shape to it. And I dropped about 2 pounds of weight by going with a swamp barrel instead of a straight octagon. Yeah, it's not dumb at all, Thomas. So there was several methods of making them. The most common back in, you know, colonial times was to take what's called a scalp, which is just your processed wrought iron that's made to forge into a barrel. A scalp would be wider at the breech end and thicker, and it would slowly taper down in width, not very much, but in thickness, it would taper down quite a bit. It might be, you know, 3/8 inch thick at the breech and taper to 1/4 inch or 3/16 at the muzzle. Then the scalp was folded this way and forge welded, creating a seam and a tube. And the tube, because it being thicker and heavier at one end, would have a thicker wall at the breech and would taper down to the muzzle. And then they'd be, like I said, forge welded together into your solid tube. That'd be hammered into an octagon for a rifle, or left round for a, you know, like a swamper, shotgun, smoothbore, whatever you want to call it. And then annealed. And after that, the hole would be bored out for the actual rifle, and then the flats would be filed, and then proof test, and, you know, breech plug. Of course, you gotta make a breech plug. But have I thought of making one? Yes. So I want to take a wrought iron wagon tire, cut about a 20-inch section out of it, use that as my scalp, you know, forge it down to the proper taper and everything, roll that around, and then forge weld it, and then ream it out. And I got 2 of these. It's a tapered reamer. I need to grind this collar off, but that's 5/8. So that'll give me a 62 caliber, or roughly 20 gauge smoothbore. I was actually playing around one day, have it laying right here. This is a little barrel that I forged just for fun. The barrel's wrought iron. I did that method of you wrap it around, forge weld. So the seams on the bottom side, there is a little bit of the seam. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. You can see a little bit of a seam right there on the corner. And then I forged a breech plug, tapped the breech plug, drilled and tapped the barrel for the plug, and then drilled a little touch hole. And I played around with this thing, you know, I've dropped anywhere from like 15 grains of powder. I've dropped 50 grains of powder in here. And I think it might be like, I don't know, 5/16 bore. Just a little smooth bore. Just for fun. Yeah, now that I have these parts, the three things with building a rifle like this: you got to have your barrel, you got to have your butt plate, and you want to fit the ramrod. So I'll start by I'll probably take measurements off of the pattern that I got, see how that lays out in the block of wood. I can rough saw that on a bandsaw, and then from there on just be hand tools. I'll inlet the barrel, get that sitting nice and tight, and then I can get the butt plate sitting up in there, and then I'll probably buy a hickory ramrod. Our hardware store, all for hardwood they had was oak dowels, and they're only 3 feet. My barrel's 42 inches, so I was going to try and splice two of these together, but I'll probably just buy a 4-foot hickory ramrod. And then today, before I got the package, I started taking this Brad Point 3/8 bit. It was 1 foot long, still hot out of the forge, and I forge welded a piece of 3/8 round stock onto it. So I have a 5 foot long, needs a little bit of straightening, I have a 5 foot long drill bit now. So what I'll have to do for the ramrod is I can chisel this groove in the bottom of the stock until it gets to here. And from here to the back of the barrel has to be drilled. So you only need to drill out about 12 inches of material, 12 to 14 inches, but your drill bit has to lay in this groove all the way through the barrel, or all the way underneath the barrel. So I needed a drill bit that was minimum 42 inches plus something to hang on to. So forge weld that up, and I have a 5 foot long drill bit. Yeah, I drew this little 36. So I originally built this 36, basically the same process. I bought just a big block of wood. The patch box was a kit. It had the hinge already done, but it's just a big sheet, so I had to cut all that out. Butt plate is a piece of elk antler. The lock was a small Siler lock, so the lock for the 50 is going to be a bit bigger. But I bought the lock kit, bought the barrel, a chunk of wood, basically made everything else by hand. The trigger guard on this gun was scavenged from a pistol kit that I had that was all rusted up and crappy. But it's all just a mishmash of parts I found. Probably back to, like I said, probably 90% hand tools on this. Now this one, the barrel is a straight 13/16 octagon. So I actually made a hand plane where the iron was a 13/16 octagon. And so I could plane all of that material out for the barrel. But since the 50 cal is a swamped barrel, it's not straight, I won't be able to use a hand plane for that. I could rough it out with like a 3/4 inch, since that's the smallest dimension, but it's all going to be chisel work after that. But I originally bought the parts and built this 36 to deer hunt with, because legal for Indiana deer hunting muzzleloader is .357. And I'm like, oh, 36, that's bigger than 357. Well, the problem is you have to patch the ball. So for a 36 rifle, you're actually shooting a 350 round ball. So I'm, 7/1000 of an inch undersize. Although if I, stamped 36 on the barrel, Warden wouldn't know any better. But last thing I need is to get caught with something like that, and for a stupid mistake, get in trouble. So I would like to take this squirrel hunting. I'd love to pop a coyote with it. That'd be fun. I need to start, loading it up and just taking on walks through the woods, because every now and then I do see a coyote. Well, my phone just dropped to 5% battery, so thank you all for being here and watching me unbox the couple parts that I got. And hopefully I can record some of this for the general public knowledge. Probably going to have, I bet you I have better than 200 hours building this thing, but it's all for fun, and I really hope to get it done, sight it in, and take a deer with it this fall. That's kind of my plan. So thank everybody for watching, and we'll catch you next time.